Afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thanks for joining me. My name is Doug McCarthy. I am head of this webinar, Viscount McCarthy, owner and VP Sales of Operations at TeamCain. With me I have Lord Dalton, who's our BI Publisher Consultant at TeamCain. And a quick early warning is that our fabulous marketing staff put together the slides, and sometimes we don't get to see what our titles are until we do the webinar, so hence our surprise. I really don't even know what a Viscount is. But at any rate, thank you for joining us. The quest to sophisticated BI Publisher forums. So, as I said, my name is Doug McCarthy. I've been accused of needing a new picture. I guess that one is a little bit dated. I may have a little bit more gray hair these days. Yeah. I have 3 years with TeamCain, 3 plus I guess at this point. Overall 17 plus years working with JDE. I started out on the technical side in a CNC role, and now am on the vendor side of things, and but definitely look at things from both perspectives. So, and with me again, the brains of the operation, Rain Dalton, 2 years with TeamCain. He is based in Calgary, and how much snow do you have up there so far?
There was a bit. Now there's less than an inch and frozen ground.
All right. Well, I am in Connecticut in the U.S., and so still no snow to speak of. So I'll hopefully continue that trend where you have a lot more than I do.
Hopefully, yes.
All right. So our agenda for today, we're just going to start off and cover the basics of BI Publisher, just a little bit of background on that. We'll break into a little bit more detail on what does make a BI Publisher forum sophisticated, what's the difference from that basic to the more technical pieces. And then Rain will actually jump right in to working with BI Publisher templates and kind of show you how simple it is to get moving or to maybe edit things as you get into your BI Publisher work. We do talk about a little bit of our BI Publisher packs, which are the pre-built templates for a lot of the forms that everyone needs. We'll do a few kind of case study reviews, client stories, look at some samples of what we've done, and then finish up just talking a little bit about BI Publisher versus other third-party software, quick ROI on that.
Right. So just a quick basic overview of BI Publisher. With BI Publisher, there are 2 versions. There's the embedded version, which we will be talking about today, which circumnavigates the outputs for batch jobs and how the design looks when you're running those. The other version is the BI Publisher Enterprise version, and that's more of a reporting solution and integrates with OneView reports, for example. So again, we'll be concentrating on the embedded BI Publisher version. With the embedded version, it makes use of 2 very significant objects, a report definition object and a BI Publisher template object. And as I go through the demo, I'll explain what they look like in the OMW and a little bit about what their purposes are and how that works with producing the output. The embedded version of BI Publisher works with JDE XML output. You won't actually see this output, and it's a way of the report to communicate with the BI Publisher design, but I'll show you what that looks like and the significance of it. All of the editing and creation of the BI Publisher template is done in Microsoft Word, and it uses a development plugin for BI Publisher that you can download from the Oracle website.
Hey, Rain, just a quick question on that. I don't know if you're going to go into that in more detail, but what version of Word is now used that you can use certified from Oracle?
So Oracle supports up to 2013 now, Office 2013. Before it was only up to 07, 2010, so they just recently released that support, which is great. 2016 and onwards still a little iffy and not official, but more on that from Oracle. On release information, just a quick overview on what BI Publisher has kind of progressed through tools releases and in world. In 9.1.3, the data-driven output was introduced, and that allows you to send the output to different printers or email recipients based on data in the report. In tools release 9.1.4, They introduced the ability to rename the output file and specify a location for it, so you can save it on a network or an archive directory, and introduce different queues for rendering the job simultaneously, which increases performance, which is great. In World A 9.2, electronic document delivery was introduced, so that's comparable to the 9.13 release there, the data-driven output. So it allows you to send the output to emails or different areas. In World A 9.3, direct print was introduced, so directly printing to different printers based on data, and enhancements to the EDD that allowed you to split up the reports based on branch information or certain pieces of data on the report. And for a level of comfort, BI Publisher is part of the Oracle stack, so you have that level of confidence with going forward on upgrades and updates that it's supported and looked after when you're doing the Oracle portions of the upgrades. So with that being said, we'll jump right into the demo and give you a little bit of information on how BI Publisher works on the development side and how easy it is to make a quick change versus some other areas, other third-party. So before we take a quick look at that, I just want to bring your attention to what a standard OMW project would look like for BI Publisher. So in this image, you'll see we have two projects, a PO project and an SO project, and in them we have three objects each. So these three objects are critical for getting the embedded version of BI Publisher to work. The first object here in the middle for the PO, we'll just talk about that one. First object is R43500, and you'll see we have version TCBIP001. So that is the UBE version itself, and that version will actually be revised in the configuration for it in the report design aid to look at a specific report definition object. And that is the second object here. RD, will prefix it with that. 43500 is a report definition object, and that object defines how the report behaves on delivery and which UBE version and template object should be looked at. So it's a kind of a middleman between the UBE version and the actual BI Publisher output. And the last object is the template object itself, prefixed here with RT for an RTF file. So the RT43500 template object is an object that houses the template itself. So that is the Word document that we'll be looking at today, and it's the object that you upload and change templates to. So just wanted to bring your attention to all of this because this is kind of a little bit of background configuration that needs to be done in your OMW project and deployed to your environment before the ease of the rest of this demonstration is really possible. So if you have any questions about this, please feel free to pop them in the question there. Yes, Doug.
I was going to say that's this is our version of full disclosure. So there is a little bit of CNC work or a little bit of OMW work that's required before you get to the easy Word template part.
Yes, absolutely. And if this is overlooked, it will not be configured to work. So just definitely want this part to be done first. Okay, with that being said, we did mention that BI Publisher works with XML output. You'll never see this XML output if it's configured properly, but it is a way of communicating from your UBE or your report to the template itself. So just for your information, this is what that would look like. There's a lot of data here, a lot of fields and text, but essentially what this is a hierarchical format of the data on a report. So for this particular invoice, we can see that the customer ID is just customer, or the ship to address line 1 is this value here. So the reason we're highlighting this is because the actual development part of it, the template itself, you will just be referencing these field names. Because the data is dynamic and based on the report, you want to link the field name on the on the development side of it, so it will display whatever is in the report. Okay, so we'll look at that, and this will all start making sense on how it's integrated into the development side. So this is the XML here, and the template itself is a Microsoft Word RTF file. So I will just open up a gold version. This is a very basic version of an invoice. Let's do that here. So not much to it here. You can see it takes only half of a page, but this is the designed output of a very basic invoice. We have an area for a bill to section, an area for a ship to, and then some line description information and all of that, and then some totals at the bottom. And as you can see here, the gray fields we have are the actual fields that link to the XML field names. So as you saw here, we have just this field sold to address line 2, and it's actually sold to address line 2 here. So it's just a placeholder, but when the reports run, it will display all of the information. So to do some basic development, this is the file here, and it adheres to all of the Microsoft Word features for tables, column, sizing and shaping on that, as well as text bolding and all of those font capabilities. But as you can see at the top ribbon, we have the BI Publisher tab here, and this is that BI Publisher add-in that has been installed and all done here in Microsoft Word. The first thing that we'll do is we will load some of the sample data. So that XML file that we're looking at, we'll go to the load section and load sample XML. And we'll load that XML file. Just lets us know it's good. And then what we want to do is render that data with this design. So quickly do that. In the preview section up here, we will output a PDF. So we'll take that report data that's in the XML, it will apply this design, and here we have a BI Publisher output. So we have all of those placeholder fields now filled in with actual data. Invoice 3497, we have a dynamically expanding details area here that's listing all of the detail lines and the total. And since this is a batch of invoices, second page is a second invoice, 3466, and then 3467, etc. So on. So this is a very basic design, but it's powerful as it is, allowing you to render the batch of invoices with dynamic content. So that's just how to quickly take a look at it and the preview of it, simplifying what that step between I made an adjustment, what does it look like? As I mentioned, the development is all adhering to the Microsoft Word structure and the capabilities of Microsoft Word, and then adds the BI on top of it. So if we wanted to add a new field to this, we can take this build to ship to section, and I will just insert a row below, resize it a little bit, and we have a row with two columns here. So on the left column, I'm going to put in some static text. I'm just going to say extra field 1. And on the right side, we want to add the field from the report, a field that's already in the report, but we want it to actually display on the output here. So to do that, we could go to the insert section at the top, and we want to insert a field. And this new dialog box opens up, which lists a simplified hierarchy of what the XML looks like, and allows you to select some of the fields in the XML. So, for example, the one that I've been focusing on is this ship to address line 2. So I'm just going to select that, and you can see here at the bottom it shows an example of what that data looks like. So that data looks like this, a 5-digit and then 2 pieces of text. If I were to go to related PO, that's just a label or description or an actual supplier tax ID. So that just gives you an idea of what that looks like. So right here, I'll just add a cost center. So I can just double click on it or hit insert. And see I added a gray box here, another placeholder field, which looks at the cost center underscore ID 242. So that's a very specific XML tag. And when we actually go to the preview for the PDF here, we'll see that new area and the new field. Here we go. So maybe a little bit more on the visual side to center it and align it and take out any extra white space, but the essential, the ease of it is here. So we added a new row, 2 columns, static text, and a dynamic cost center. So let's go through cost
Rain,
center.
if I can,
should be the same. Yep.
From a non-developer standpoint, meaning me, what's nice is Rain had that XML document, which we'd be more than happy to show anyone how you can easily get that XML document. But let's say your business person, whoever it might be, your accounts receivable clerk says, hey, I need to add on call center 2 to the invoice. You don't necessarily need to know what that XML tag is. What you need to ask them is, okay, on invoice 374, what's the value of call center 2?
Yeah.
You come to the XML, you do a quick search for whatever the value is. I mean, depending on if it's just a number, it might get a little bit more complicated, but it's easy to just go through that XML, find out where that is in the form. You then see exactly what the tag is, and Rain just showed how easy it is then to add it into an extra field. So it's looking at a lot of coding and XML documents, but you don't have to have a lot of that knowledge of, hey, exactly what table is this data stored in and that, and knowing all those crazy numbers that the JDE developers often spew out at people like me, like, oh, it's the F93 4000. Well,
yes, absolutely. It is, yes, and everything that I covered today here is basically, for the development side anyways, it's basically all done with the Microsoft Word capabilities. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Word, what it can do, then it's just adding an extra BI Publisher layer on top of that. And that's a little bit of technical there, like you said, Doug, just knowing what field to add. But the design of it and how it looks and feels, that's all Microsoft Word. So it's a lot of familiarity when it comes to that. You're not just jumping into this huge form aid or report design aid part that's in JDE. So what we looked at here is just the basic. This is what we refer to as a gold version. It's a basic output, and it doesn't implement some of the more advanced features. So what I'll just quickly open up then is I'll close this and I'll open up one of our Platinum invoices. So both of these are invoices, but this one is our Platinum design. And as you can see right away, it's already a rainbow of colors and a lot more information going on here. We've got a lot more sections and a little bit more complicated on the way that this is organized. Now the colors here are more so for the person that's doing the development to easily distinguish the beginning and end of a new section. So this is a new section here, this is a section here, and allow you to maybe do some more advanced manipulation on that. But this advanced form here, or this Platinum invoice, has a terms and conditions at the end. It also includes some of the features for global messaging before or after, running page totals, and all of that. So what I will do is, again, just go to the BI Publisher tab and we'll load that same XML. So this is the same one as that we just looked at on the plain design, or the more standard design. And we'll just quickly preview it. All right, so same data in the background, but we have a lot more allotments for key fields and some dynamic content. So we now have a global message that's being displayed. We have some request date, a customer PO number, and some allowance for related PO or tax exempt certificate numbers. Here we have a brought forward total section and additional description lines. And in the background, you'll see a watermark. So all of these are part of the design, and they can be manipulated with our built-in processing options in the template. And I'll just quickly bring your attention to that after we've taken a look at this. So you can see here we have page total, cumulative total, an area for tax summary, and the terms and conditions at the end. So same report data, but a lot more robust look and feel to this, and a lot more information that can be provided to the client. For manipulating some of these built-in features, we have these processing options at the top. And what we have here is the ability to basically toggle some of the features on or off, just like you would possibly do in the processing options when you're running the report in JDE. These options are local to this template only. And when you're running this template, it'll be on all of the output. Of course, there are some advanced capabilities, so we can make them dynamic so that the language is based on a language flag, or allowing a watermark to be displayed, or global messages can be based on a field that's in the report itself. But what that looks like for any user that's taking a look at this is just modifying a value from a Y, which is yes display, to N for no, don't display. And when you're purchasing these Platinum templates, this is what you get. You receive it with all of this functionality and capability, and some on-the-side training from myself or our team to actually make some quick adjustments to it. If there's any questions about this, please let me know. For the advanced coding here, it does do extended XL as the coding language. So if you just Google extended XL coding language, then that's the code that you can put in for some of the advanced capabilities in these fields. Okay, so what we looked at was what this complicated template looks like, and we took a quick look at adding a field, adding some data, static and dynamic. And once you've done that, a developer, if you have a user or is a power user that's typically not in a development kind of hat, then what they're allowed to do now, or what they're capable of doing now based on their permissions, is actually taking this template that you've made changes to and uploading it right into your environment without the need of a fat client or any advanced technical or development experience. So we don't actually have a demo environment to show that, but I took some images just to quickly show you what that looks like. So in the enterprise menus, what you would do is go to the fast path P95600. So if the user is set up with the proper permissions to access that form, then they should be good to go. Once they go to P95600, you'll see that it loads up the BI Publisher object repository. And this is a form that lists all of the objects for templates, all the template objects that are currently in that particular environment that are used for BI Publisher. So we're using an invoice, so we looked at getting this object here, RT42565. So you would select that and hit accept to go into it and be presented with a configuration overview. Basically, do you want to rename the description, and this is what the object type and all of that is. Once you're presented with this, you don't need to make any changes. If you don't want to make them, you just hit accept to load up the prompt of whether you want to upload a new file. So we made changes to the invoice file. You want to upload it now to the environment. So you'll click yes, and you'll browse to that new RTF file and load it in there. Once it's loaded in there, it'll just ask you to confirm the date. It'll just ask you to confirm the date on when you want this object to be valid, and you hit accept. And that's it. That's all that you need for uploading the template into your JDE environment, and it will be live the next time that report is run in that environment. So you don't need to load up OMW again or have a developer load up that new object and deploy it. With that CNC pre-work done that we've discussed first off, everything will be in place, and it's just a matter of making a modification to the template, the RTF file, and then uploading it in the menus. And it's live, it's good to go. If there's any questions or anything requiring any additional clarification, please feel free to add it in the questions box there, and we can address it as we go along. Doug, do we have anything yet?
No questions yet, but so I'll throw in there. I know you had said, sorry, we don't have a demo environment. Well, we do have a demo environment, which are what those screenshots came from. Apologies, it is actually just down for maintenance today.
Yes.
But if anyone would like to schedule some time, we can definitely show you that more on a one-on-one basis and walk you through all those steps that Rain just went through. And the other important note is until Rain was showing those screenshots and talking about the OMW piece and the P96 or P98600, all of that other work was done just in Word. So a lot of times we've done work with clients where they send us an XML form and we do all of the development with never having access to their system. So especially in government entities or high security related companies, it's certainly not an issue to get all that work done without having to jump through the hoops that are sometimes required to get a consultant access to your internal system. So, okay.
Yes. Okay. So that was just the demo, and like Doug said, if you want a more hands-on experience or just a hands-on clarification, all that, we can definitely set some time aside and take a look at the environment that will be up at that time, or your environment, and see how we can quickly look at XMLs and how PLSure works.
And Rain, from now on, I'm picturing that's your house in the background, and so this is the driveway to your house.
An old school, vintage, old British castle house. I wish. That would be awesome. But if you want to picture that, by all means. A bit chilly, yes. So
all right.
We're just going to quickly look at some of the samples that we have of a purchase order and just highlight some of the advanced features that I was talking about. We have that gold and the platinum. We'll go a little bit more into detail near the end of the presentation on what those are and what those packages look like. But for the purchase order here specifically, the advanced form, it has allotments for multiple languages already. So when you're purchasing the template, it already takes care of French, Spanish, and English. And they can either be hard set and coded in the template, or they can be driven based on data on the report. You'll also see areas for the tax information to be displayed and separated based on the tax that's there. Maybe some reprint information in your global messaging. And there's already some built-in conditional logic for displaying certain fields, whether it exists or whether that language allows for that. So the currency would be at the end, for example. And also we have 3 versions for each of them. So we have a base one that has no terms. We have terms and conditions at the back of every page, and another one that has the terms and conditions at the end. So that's a little bit more complex coding and design, but when you purchase these, you can have those to your availability, depending on what the packages are that we've agreed to. But there are those that are already designed, so that's great. It takes a lot of the headache off on getting those to work. And with that, some of the advanced coding is done for headers and footers to be dynamic based on the continuation on the next page, or if it's the first page versus the last page because of the terms and conditions there. So that's great. It's already dealt with there, and it's some Microsoft Word magic that needs to be done with the BI Publisher to make that work. And sorry, this box is just in my way. The build to and sold to section, or the ship to section here, is designed to fit in a number 10 envelope already. So when you do the folding, it's designed to already be in position there. And I'll hand it off to Doug for some sophistication.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. I think you might have covered a lot of this. What a lot of this slide is pointing out is those more technical side of the template. So people like me, again, I'm not a developer by trade, but in my previous careers, it was put on my plate of, hey, can you whip up a quick template? And you know, it's Microsoft Word, and so I think a lot of us could probably jump in there and get something done. But it's this level of sophistication. It's certain, I'll say, little things when you maybe just talk about them, but when you try to get in there and do the coding, it's the hard part. You need to be able to have the familiarity with the specific type of coding that Rain was mentioning, and just have the experience of how you're doing it. The nice part is, once you get all this done, or you have your templates, or if you're looking at our BIPs, it's already there for you, and maintaining it is very easy. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So a lot of those points, not to read through them all, but that conditional output, just for, hey, if it's over or under a certain amount, do I want one signature or two signatures, and is it a different signature? But even conditional output of, okay, on this I want the check copy to go to a certain location or a certain printer, and I want the live one to go here, and I want another version of it to go to a network share. Getting all of that to happen, and maybe it's dependent on which branch plant it's associated with, or any of those conditional points tend to definitely add the complication. People come to us often with something as simple as their dynamic fields, or their boxes around the details. They can't get to always just line up. And things like that, if it's that outward-facing document, I mean, you're sending this to your customers or whoever it might be, and if it's looking unprofessional or maybe not just totally up to par, that can make a difference. So people, when they look at how easy and how quickly we can turn that around for them, it's usually a quick, easy decision for them. A couple of the other things, language. We have a lot of our customers that have that whole French and English requirement. Again, this handles that completely out of the box. You can base that on company. You can base that on anything, as long as it's in the XML, or you could have it always print one version in English, one version in French. So again, very easy to take care of it. And then that bottom section, when we talk about, well, people maybe can struggle through and create all of these different versions. So if you can't get that level of complexity, well, maybe you have a JDE version for French, a JDE version for English, a JDE version for this, for that, and then you've got 97 different versions of invoice. And so when you go to upgrade, or you go to have to make a change, well, then you've got to make that on 97 different versions. And so that's another powerful feature, is you can build that all into that one simple piece, much easier to maintain, upgrade, etc. I mean, just that alone can save you large amounts of time in any kind of development or upgrade process. Anything I might have missed there, Rain?
Nope, that covers it.
Okay.
I can quickly do this. Or is this me? Yeah. So just putting all of this together, that we've covered the demo, a lot of talk about the sophistication and the advanced features that we do. So the basic idea here is that once those objects are pre-configured, then the rest is easy to maintain, and you have production-ready designs that we can assist you with, or if you have some designs, we can get those up there too. So with those designs that we talked about, it allows you to, again, control logos, messages, languages, and all of that easily within the template, or within data dynamically driving it, right? With the reports that we're using here are 42565, or PO, and we have some checks, and we'll show the list there. We're using the most commonly used data fields that are, and those are already in the designs. So if you have an RO4572 check ready to go, it'll be already mapped to the fields that are there. We don't need to go in and get everything lined up. It'll just be make the objects, here's the template, and you're good to go for the most part. Maybe some tweaks here and there, but good. The templates will, of course, work with any existing custom versions, 55 to 59. With that being said, if you have custom sections or custom fields, then they will just need to be added to the template. But they're all based on a basic one for the most part, and if it's a custom of an invoice, the base invoice is already there. Make some tweaks and retrofit it. At the end of the day, what you're really looking at and what you're really hoping for here, what BI Publisher's power can produce, is load up the change and you're good to go.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Rain. So a couple of our completed quests, just a couple of quick case studies we can run through, give you some examples of how we've worked with others. The first one, Dream, Canadian real estate, correct, Rain? That's where we're, their field. What we've done with them, pretty interesting, not just a conversion to BI Publisher, but they were the first customer to come to us that said, hey, managing changes to our checks is a huge nightmare. They have a whole lot of banks that they deal with, both Canadian and U.S., and signatures were maybe pretty dynamic, and who was actually doing the signing. Some of that sophistication around how much the checks might be, and then which signatures needed to be on it. The changes to the micro line, which anyone that's dealt with that, you know, going back to the banks and getting all that testing done, and then having to go in and tweak, and it takes that level of coding to be able to do all that. Except for if you're in BI Publisher. And what we did for them is we built an add-on package. So it's kind of an extra module, if you want to think of it that way, from BI Publisher, where it gives you a front end to be able to do all of that work. So it doesn't have any, it's not customizing any of the base objects or anything like that. It's just bringing in a few extra pieces to give you a front end to do that. So we do have that where people, once they take a look at it, again, it's a no-brainer. If you have that level of sophistication in the banks that you're dealing with, where you can save a whole lot of time. Anything to add on that one, Rain?
No, that's it. Basically, it's just that, is that new front end in the enterprise menus that a user can go in and quickly make some changes. And when they're running the checks, the BI Publisher template is designed to work hand in hand with it. So if you're making changes to the microline or the signature image itself, you're just making it there on the front end, and the template was designed to cooperate. So it was very quickly at the end of the day, make some changes and have it be live.
All right, great. All right, so we'll jump to the second one.
Yeah.
The Dixie Group, carpet manufacturer, retailer in Alabama, Georgia? Alabama.
Georgia, or one of
Georgia.
those two. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So let's see. Last year, we actually helped them upgrade from 9.0 to 9.2, and as part of our discovery with them, they had told us that they would like to move off of Optio and try and get all of their forms management pieces into BI Publisher. So without really having to add too much in the way of scope or consulting time, Rain, you had a big part in this project, but we went ahead and reconfigured all of their forms to use BI Publisher. So they were able to discontinue Optio and save those licensing and maintenance costs. And then the big part is part of that engagement. Again, Rain this was your doing, but you took maybe I don't know, a couple of days. I forget the number of hours, but I know it wasn't much to sit with a few of their power users and getting them up to speed on the ins and outs of maintaining those BI Publisher packs on their own. And
Yes.
I think in that year plus, they've given us a call once or twice just to say, hey, this is what I need to do. And, maybe it was a 15-minute conversation just to kind of refresh them, or maybe an hour or two here or there just to kind of get them over the hump of whatever they were trying to do. But they've definitely taken that on, the maintenance on their own, and saved those ongoing costs as well.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. With very little kind of knowledge transfer, little hours on just training them, basically what we looked at today, but a little bit more hands-on and actual changes. Their accountant, I believe it was 2 accountants and a front user, a power user, are now the ones that are maintaining their BI Publisher for invoice and some of the checks. So a lot of power in their hands, and they're able to do it themselves. One other item that they had requested was, with the power of BI Publisher, the report definition allows you to send the outputs to different printers based on data. So they actually have several offices and several check printers and other printers for standard printers for invoices. With the BI Publisher power using the report definition object, that's all handled automatically, so that if it's a set branch, it'll go and print to that branch's printer. So a lot of optimization there as well, and all set up and easy to maintain for them. And next one, Leadcore. Right.
So Leadcore, interesting history on that one. So prior to working with BI Publisher, TeamCain actually partnered with Createform, and we were one of their primary partners in North America. And this is prior to both Rain and I, but TeamCain did the initial Createform work for Leadcore. And so they came back to us when they were ready to move off of Createform. One, it's very helpful that we still have the resources that have the knowledge of looking at the design packages and knowing exactly what that's doing, and then being able to translate that into BI Publisher. So a couple of different pieces on that. I know we did that in a couple of phases. One, they wanted to get the big pieces done to kind of be able to go live, and then we came back around and did a little bit more on the payroll side.
Yes.
Added a few more things. At the end of the day, with that transfer of knowledge, they were able to do a lot of that on their own, as opposed to having to go out to maybe a bottom line or whichever third-party product you want to talk about. But being able to do that type of work on your own schedule, we know that those resources are typically pretty expensive, and sometimes there's a long wait to be able to have availability to get those things done. So again, remove the external third-party costs, took that ownership in-house, and great success along the way.
Yes, and I just want to add that a large portion of this project, the second phase there, on creating the reports, Leadcore wanted to really utilize what the BI Publisher's powers were. So some of the reports, or a large portion of the reports, weren't custom reports that they had. It was making a BI Publisher version of a JDE standard report. But with that, it's a easily maintainable RTF file, as well as linking with a report definition object, so they have the power on sending it to specific printers, email recipients, or archiving it on the network. So it's not always I want this complicated, cool-looking template. We also want to utilize BI Publisher power. So they actually required both, but it was a very interesting project, to say the least. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Ren. Before we move on, we did have a question come in on actually interesting. The customers using both BI Publisher and PeopleSoft, which we know, JD Edwards and PeopleSoft, in
Right.
conjunction with BI. And they're converting, let's say, 120 reports from Crystal to BI. And so that the check handling module, is that available, or could it handle checks available for PeopleSoft as well? So I'll take a first spin at that.
Yeah.
So I'm not overly familiar with PeopleSoft and how that works in any detail, but at the end of the day, my I guess educated assumption is that PeopleSoft is going to produce an XML file, and then that XML file is going to be passed to BI Publisher. So in that level, in theory, it absolutely should work in exactly the same way. But I would say we can definitely follow up with you on an individual basis. But the great part is if you can create an XML file for any of the forms that anyone is looking at and send that over to us, we can pop that right into our template. And if Rain answers my phone call when I call him, it's usually a 10 to 15 minute, which, Rain, I'm only kidding, you always answer my calls.
Yeah.
But we can turn that around very quickly to see, hey, here's what your XML will look like in our template. So we can definitely do that for anyone here on the call, and we'll follow up with you on the 120 pieces. But Rain, did you have any other thoughts on that?
Yes, one thing to add there. I was just reading the question as you were talking to the check maintenance module that our project with Dream has sprung up. That was designed only to work in the JDE and like the Enterprise One menus within JDE. So that module for easily maintaining the signature locations and names and the microline, all that, that's made within JDE. So that would obviously not be working with PeopleSoft. But I know that our developers would be the ones to definitely pass that question on to, and maybe they have some hidden knowledge on how to make that transition possible, or anything specific to it. But at this point in time, it's designed to work with JDE specifically, and I believe it was designed in 9.1 and recently to 9.2.1.5. So that's the environments that it was created in. So just a little on
great. Yeah, great point. So on that additional functionality and the new front end around that, that's absolutely, as Rain says, for JD Edwards. The templates themselves for just the checks, those were what I was thinking. So yeah, great point, Rain. Okay, I know we've got about 10 minutes left before the top of the hour, so we'll quickly kind of run through a few of these. This is just a slide in looking at, it's a quick ROI on how you can save that 20 to 22% annual maintenance on maybe another third-party tool. The BI Publisher embedded version that Rain talked about, of course, is free or included, we'll say. No such thing as a free lunch, but included in your JDE license. So eliminating those future consulting costs and the maintenance piece. This is not that we expected it to, but this really isn't a ongoing consulting revenue stream, just because people have the ability to quickly learn at least enough to maintain and make those simple changes moving forward, and even to take those best practices and those sophisticated pieces from our templates and then use them on their own templates moving forward. So all good from that perspective. One of the pieces, I think we might have touched a little bit about this, but when you are using maybe an Optio or a bottom line, or we know a lot of people do come to us when they say, well, I've got to go to a new version, or I've got to go to Transform, or whatever it might be, and that's going to require new hardware, or at least server upgrades, and kind of a whole other upgrade path just for the form software. So when you have BI Publisher, it's part of the Oracle stack. They do as much as Oracle is capable of making those work closely together and keeping things in sync. So definitely can help eliminate risk across your environment. So just kind of a quick list of what are the publisher packs that we do already have and are being used out there in the environment, both in World and Enterprise One. I will say there's a couple of pieces in World paychecks, or both checks, right? Not available in world, just the way that, because of the way that that data is stored
Yes.
and calculated. Also, is it work orders or no, pick slips? Pick slips.
Yeah, pick slips. They can be a difficult time.
Yeah, just in Word. I mean, so all of these, of course, are fully available in E1, but just mentioning for any world customers that might be with us today, that a couple of those do have a little bit more complication. That bottom one, though, custom reports, we know most often, like in the question that we had about the 120 reports, people are using their third-party tool for a lot of things, maybe distribution, whatever it might be. And those are usually pretty quick to help convert over to a BI publisher. A lot of things, even like tax forms, we have that listed more just as a reminder that those are absolutely available from the Oracle website. That's not something you necessarily need to purchase. Just putting it on there more as a, hey, that's out there. You can definitely use BI Publisher for that information.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Rain actually mentioned that he showed that first purchase order, or no, invoice purchase order.
Invoice, yeah.
What were you showing?
Invoices.
So, yeah, the first one, very basic. That's the, hey, I don't want to pay my maintenance next week. I need to get something up and running that I can use. Okay, hey, we'll get you a basic design with your logo, so that you can be up and running. That's our gold packages. The platinum includes all that sophistication that we talked about, as we see there, the watermarks, language, watermarks, we said that, totals, etc.
Yeah.
The nice part, again, that point about all packages including best practice designs. And again, once you have that, and once Rain sits down with maybe an internal developer or a power user and says, hey, here's the section that does this. Well, it's as easy as copy and pasting or duplicating that template to use that in other areas. But then you've got best practices throughout all of your forms, and you've got that, all of your forms are looking the same as you're sending them out to your customers, maybe from different divisions or whatever it might be. On some of the things, especially like the platinum checks, we do include development hours. We know there will be tweaking, especially when you go send that off to the bank. They may tell you to move that microline a 1/4 millimeter to the right or whatever it might be, and we absolutely will help you get through that as well. And then Sam's discount shop, the more templates you get, the better pricing that we can do on that. All right. Oh, last point, just on that, I know it up in the corner it said, this isn't something that we're looking for maintenance fees along the way. This is, hey, let's get you the template, let's get it configured the way that you need it for your specific company, and then it's yours, you own it. It's not, again, no ongoing maintenance fees for any of that. This is just a little bit more of the technical piece on that, on the bank extension. So as you can see, it is looking at those specific JDE objects. So that's where we would need to kind of get a developer input on how those are different from the PeopleSoft side and how easily that might be able to get done. That could be just a conversation that could be had on the technical piece. But again, we can follow up on that.
Okay.
All right. Good. So still the path to Rain's house for our inquiries.
Get your answers here.
So any other questions? There's nothing in the queue at the moment, so I think we're good there.
Okay.
Just in our last couple minutes, who is TeamCain? So first and foremost, we are a JD Edwards full-service partner, upgrades, migrations, reselling, training, rollouts across the board. Where we do a little bit of reselling is we have partnerships with companies like Click for their Purgit, Forza on ScanMan and Pacman, SSPR, Global Software Spreadsheet Server, RF Smart for automation, warehouse automation, which is really where TeamCain started. is in that space. And I think I skipped over DWS's Swift test for automated testing. Very helpful if you've got a lot of environments that you need to be working through. But we think those are kind of best of breed. They can really do a lot to improve your overall experience in the JD Edwards space. Yeah, covered there. Good. I'm trying to rush, make sure we're under the time.
Last slide.
I mentioned, yeah, sending us an XML sample. We're more than happy just to throw that into our template and let you see, hey, this is what it would look like out of the box. What we can usually do is if you want to give us an XML and a copy of what your output looks like today, we can give you an estimate of okay, this is what it looks like out of box, and if you want us to manipulate it so it looks exactly like you're doing today, a lot of people don't want to have to explain off any kind of changes for those out-facing forms, but we can give you that level of effort pretty quickly on that as well. So with that, that's my contact information. And if anyone has specific questions for Rain, you can absolutely send those to me, and I can get you connected over to him. More than happy to have him answer any kind of quick technical questions or describe any of the pieces that he was covering. But first and foremost, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We always know it can be tough to get an hour out of everyone's busy day, so spending it here listening to us, greatly appreciated. A reminder that survey will come up. Just a few questions. If you could just take the time to do that, we'd greatly appreciate it. And again, we'll pick a winner for the $30 gift card. And yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions. So again, thank you so much, and have a fantastic rest of the day. And Rain, thank you. Great job as always.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right, Rain, as you're still there, and I know you have another call to jump onto, but we do have one question that just came in. I'm not sure if you were looking at it. I'm reading it as we go.
Okay.
And if anyone else has additional questions, please throw it out there.
Bursting fields. Okay. Like to allow your employees to individually reprint their own W-2s.
So W-2s definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
So my thought, we actually do a lot of work with the Port of Portland in Oregon, and they have a link off of their employee self-service where they're using the iPublisher. It reads, I'm not sure if it's off of the user ID or if it's in the XML somewhere, where they absolutely give their employees the ability to do that on their own. And some of the cool pieces of that is because they're using BI Publisher, they can eliminate a lot of those extra clicks. We know when we talk about things like W-2s or even pay stubs and things of those nature, you may have a lot of people in JD Edwards that aren't everyday users. So they have the ability to say, just click this button and then go check your printer. Or maybe it's just one extra click where they have to choose their printer, but it's not the OKs and the selects and this. It greatly streamlines it and makes the training and the questions into the help desk of how do I do this a lot easier as well. And they're a great customer to chat with about what they're doing. They've done a lot in the kind of HR or self-service and BI Publisher piece. So we can definitely get you connected to have a conversation there as well. So yes, to answer that question. Rain, I don't know if anything to add on that one.
That's basically it. With regard to BI Publisher, the report definition can burst it or deliver it or not, and just allow them to do it in the service portal. All the capability is there, and the W-2s are already made there, template objects within JDE. So half of it's done.
Yeah, actually, the Oracle provides a template for W-2s every year, since they do change a little bit. So again, back to that Port of Portland piece, they have a link based on what year W-2 you want to produce. A lot of times people need that for prior years, and so it just goes out and grabs the right template and takes it from there. So good stuff. All right, so please, if there's any other questions, please feel free to put those out there. If we can't get to it quickly here, we will definitely get an answer to you. But again, thank you all, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.